And we had lost Juice World.
Yeah.
You know, he had passed away while we were on vacay. Where were you at when you heard?
Well, I was at the station. Yeah, I heard he suffered a seizure. Then the news came out that he actually swallowed like 20 pills to keep from getting caught by the cops because he was under indictment. And they actually had like 70 pounds of weed on him.
70?
70 pillows of weed.
So if that is true that he swallowed the pills, because why?
Well, he was being investigated already, and something was going to come down soon anyway.
Okay, so
they were already being watched.
What would you say will be the reason for him swallowing pills? Is it because he
was about to get on a jet and he thought he was about to get searched?
Okay, and so what charge? If they were already searching, though, right? They were already searching the private. It was a private plane, right?
Yeah, it was a private plane. So they really don't search them, but I mean they search you, but they don't really search your bags and everything.
Okay, yeah, and he swallowed how many? Allegedly,
I heard it was like 20.
So definitely up there.
Yeah, it was up there. So
really
he had a seizure.
Yeah. He was also somebody that he kind of remind me, not as popular, but remember when Mac Miller died? Like nobody had nothing negative to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he kind of remind me of. Like nobody really had nothing negative to say about Juice WRLD. You know, I know he hadn't been out that long, but there wasn't nobody that, at least to my radar, that was beefing with him, who wasn't rocking with him, or nothing like that.
No, he wasn't that type of rapper. He wasn't a street artist. He wasn't one of those. So. Nah, he ain't had those type of problems.
Do you think this would serve as a lesson to the new drug culture of hip hop, like the drug users?
Yeah, and, I'm looking through the thing. I don't know if you put it in, but actually, Vic Mensa did a brief interview with TMZ talking about that as far as the cause of death of the drug culture, talking about the hip hop community. We have to take responsibility in the things we say, because pushing these perks, these lean, saying everybody to drink and smoke, all this stuff in these songs, these young people are listening and actually doing it, and this is a result of what it turns into. And with that being said, Juicy J actually went out and put out a statement. He put out a tweet, so to say, and said, if I influenced anybody to use drugs, I apologize.
Do you think that he owed anybody an apology?
No, but I think even though he apologized, he's still cashing them royalty checks and he's still doing shows promoting them songs. So I mean,
so what? What does that mean?
It is what it is. I mean, he feels sorry, but I mean, at the end of the day, I got to eat. So
I feel like hip hop is taking the blame for something that has always been a problem in music. Like drug use in music
has always been there.
It's been called sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, musicians have been getting high since.
I mean, we lost a lot of great artists. The inventions
of guitars.
Yeah, we lost a lot of great artists to drugs. You was talking about my record, Jimi Hendrix. We lost him to drugs.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain. I mean,
well, no, Kurt Cobain killed himself, but he was on drugs though.
Because he was on drugs. So if he wasn't high, you think he'd have killed himself?
Yeah,
probably not.
Solid point.
Probably not. I mean, Ray Charles didn't die of drugs, but he was getting high back then.
He was definitely getting high. He was close to it.
Little Richard was getting high. All of them was getting high. What's his name? Chuck Berry. All of them.
Yeah. I just it makes me feel as if, but sometimes I just feel like just because hip hop was probably like the last genre that was really created, so a lot of things that we're talking about in our subject matter is late.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were talking about drugs and stuff like that, like in the 50s and the 60s and everything. So hip hop, now that it's the number one genre, now of course you're gonna have users.
Mm-hmm.
People who are gonna talk about users. Because contrary to popular belief, people like to say we wasn't talking about using drugs back in our day. There was a small audience of rappers that were talking about using drugs back in the day. It just wasn't. Hip hop was smaller, so the louder voices were the drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Now that hip hop is the size. You go from a garage to a mansion, the people who had the smaller voices, their voices are louder now. So you think about 3 6, you talk about Juicy J, right? They were talking about using drugs back in the 90s. You understand? But Juicy J in 1999 is not the same Juicy J in 2019.
Absolutely.
You understand?
So it's a grown man. It's an old man.
Exactly. And since hip hop is still from the umbrella,
still in a strip club, but it's still a grown man.
And still, since hip hop is from the umbrella of rock and roll, which has been promoting drug use ever, I just don't feel like hip hop should wear this crown of like, oh, it's all our fault that these young kids are doing drugs. When a lot of these kids that are doing drugs, they're doing drugs that are legal. They're doing drugs that you can get at the pharmacy.
The opioids.
Yeah, they're getting legal chemically made drugs made at the pharmaceuticals. And I'm not saying there's no accountability that hip hop cannot share, but to wear the whole thing on top of it, like, you know, this is our entire blame. That's where I gotta kind of like fall back a little bit, just a little bit on is what I'm feeling, because a lot of people get caught up in the fact that, especially a lot of older G's like myself or older fans of hip hop, they get caught up in the fact that who they were listening to, and they like to say it wasn't existing. So it's like, oh, they wasn't rapping about that back in the day. No, you wasn't listening to those kind of rappers.
Yeah, just that music just didn't last. Just like those songs today won't last. We won't be listening to them 10 years from now because that song's not gonna stand the test of time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was stupid music back then. It was
stupid music back then. There were people who were talking about using drugs back then. You wasn't listening to them.
It was whack. They just we just only remember the good ones.
Dude, listen, I was a huge Far Side fan. Huge Far Side fan, bro. They were definitely talking about some psychedelic stuff in their music.
Yeah, they were high.
Yeah, and some of that stuff was not weed influence. Like it wasn't. It was a little bit deeper than weed, especially the one Fat Lip. Like,
yeah, they was high, and it was only Reggie back then.
Yeah, I mean, they had a whole video with them walking backwards. I was looking forward. It still freaks me out when I watch that video. So my point is, man, this stuff, you know, the drug use, it does have to come to a halt. But we also gotta, if we're gonna check that, we have to check a lot of things in our culture that we kind of like, you know, need to stop doing. But listen, we have lost a lot of people in recent, like the rapper Lil Peep. I had almost forgot all about him. You remember him?
No.
Yeah, Lil Peep. Lil Peep died of an overdose. Mac, you know, we lost Mac, we lost Juice, and I'm pretty sure there's a few other people who probably OD'd and went to the hospital and they just didn't die. So let's not forget about that also too. So yeah, that's tragic.